Alright, this is lesson 1.4 for geometry, lessons on classifying angles. But before we get into the lesson, we're going to go ahead and once again do a warm-up on midpoint and length. So we've done a number of warm-ups on these. This one I made it a little more challenging. I put some points on there that would make a graph a little bit more difficult. But you can still kind of do a basic sketch. Let's say if I did these by tens. So we'll make that 50, we'll make that negative 20, that would be 10, 20, and I don't think I need very many there. So negative 20, 12, so negative 20, and then this would be 10, 20, 30, 40. So negative 20, 12 would be somewhere about here, and 10, 52 would be somewhere up here. So this would be my line. So remember, this is negative 20, 12, and this is 1052. Alright, so now that I have that, I can go ahead and draw my line straight down, straight over, and we can kind of figure out, well, what is the length of each side. We could try and find the middles, but for this one I'm just going to go straight to the equation. Remember, the midpoint equation is to combine the x values, divide by 2, in other words, find the average, combine the y values, divide by 2. So in this case, the x values, this would be negative 20 plus 10 divided by 2. That is negative 10 divided by 2, which is negative 5. For the y values, I'm going to get 12 plus 52 divided by 2. So that's 64 divided by 2, which is 32. That's basically how it works for that, is you can just go straight to the equation. You don't have to worry about trying to use the graph for it. But this distance here, if we're going from a height of 12, this is going from 12 up to 52, that's a difference of 40. So this side length would be 40. This will be important for us later on. This one's a little bit trickier, but this length here is 10, and this length here is 20, because it goes 20 in the negative direction. This total length is 30. So this is a total length of 30. It should just be 15. I'm sorry. 15 is the halfway mark, right? Which would be somewhere here, which is your negative 5. And then if this is 40, 20 would be your halfway mark, which, if this is 12, go 20 up, that puts you somewhere around 32. So this does work pretty well. Now what about distance? Well, this distance, we said it's 30, this distance is 40. We can go straight to Pythagorean theorem. 30 squared plus 40 squared should be this length squared. Remember, we made the squares here on each side. But we'll go ahead and square that. That's 900. This is 1600. That's going to be c squared. So add that together. That is 2500 c squared. So c squared equals 50. Because the square root of 2500 is 50. And we can just verify that on the calculator. Square root, oops, let's clear that out. Square root of 2500 is 50, so that winds up being the length. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get into classifying angles. So an angle is formed by two rays with a common endpoint called the vertex. And for this course, angles will be measured in degrees. So we'll go ahead and start with acute. So acute angles are less than 90 degrees. So I can just do a quick example of an acute angle. So that angle is less than 90. The right angle would be exactly 90 degrees. So that'll be your right angle. Acutes are less than 90, and then obtuse angles these are greater than 90 but less than 180. So these obtuse angles will be in between 90 and 80 degrees. Now a straight angle is 180 degrees. So you could say an obtuse angle is in between a right and a straight angle. So this is going to be 180 degrees. Now complementary angles are two angles that add up to 90. Two angles that add up to 90 degrees, and sometimes you'll see them separate, sometimes you'll see them together. So like if this is a 90 degree angle and I draw this and I say this is 30, then this one must be 60 since these two have to add up to 90 degrees. And like I said, they don't have to be next to each other, they could be separated. And then similarly, supplementary angles are two angles that add up to 180 degrees. And one way that you might see them drawn is just on the same angle. So let's say this was 50, and this would have to be 130. They would have to add up to 180 degrees. Alright, let's go ahead and flip the page. The other two types of angles, so we talked about complementary and supplementary. I also want to talk about adjacent and vertical angles. Adjacent angles are next to each other, like B and this 54 degrees. They are next to each other. They share a common side. So that is adjacent. Vertical angles are angles that are opposite of each other. So if this is 54 degrees, this angle is directly across from this angle. This is also 54 degrees, and so we know that vertical angles are congruent. We're going to go ahead and use the principles that we've just gone over, those definitions, to find the unknown angle. So in this case, we know that this angle is 54 degrees. This indicates the right angle, so these two angles together add up to 90 degrees. So I should be able to say that the measure of angle B plus the 54 degrees should equal 90 degrees. And then we'll just solve equations like we did when we were dealing with lines. So here I'm going to flip 54 degrees to the other side. So that is 90 minus the 54. And then when I subtract 90 from 54, I get 36. So B is going to equal 36 degrees. And I'll box that in. And then to double check it, we can just bring our calculator out, do 36 plus 54, add them together, and we see that we do get 90, so we can be confident that that was correct. Here, now we have, once again, a 90 degree angle, and both of these angles make up that 90 degrees, so that's 64 degrees plus B, whatever B is, that should add up to 90 degrees. We can flip over the 64, and then that would wind up with a 26. So we know that the answer is 26 degrees, and we're done there. And we can confirm that if we wanted to do 64 plus 36, we would get back that 90. Let's go and flip the page. We'll go on to the next set of examples. So for this one, similar type of problem. This is a 90-degree angle. We know these add up to 90. So I can put x plus 9 plus the 68 equals 90 degrees. Now it's a little bit more work because we have an additional term added, but the idea is still the same. Flip over the items that are not x terms, right? So we have the 90 minus 9 minus 68. And then you can just subtract the 9 and the 68 from 90. So 90 minus the 9 minus the 68 gives us a 13. Now, is it correct? Well, we can take this 13 and we can plug it back in to see if this works. So 13 plus 9 is going to be 12. And 68 plus the 12 degrees, sorry, a little messy, 68 plus the 12 degrees from this angle should add up to 90. So add the 2 to the 8, you get 10, carry it, it's a 6, 7, 8, 9, right? 6, did I do that right? $68. That only goes to 80. Did I make a mistake? Let's find out. So we did 9 minus 6, it's 13. 13 plus 9 is not 12, it's 21. That's silly. 22. It's 22. Sorry about that. So that winds up being 22. This is why we check our answers. And that winds up being 90 degrees. So that now works. So we do want to take our answers, we want to plug them back in and see if they work, if they add up to the 90 degrees. This way, if we did make some sort of math error, we can catch it. And so do check those answers once you get them for the angle measures and see if they match up. Alright, this one here, very similar type of problem. We have two angles here that make up a 90 degree, so the 6x plus 4 plus the 4x plus 6, they should equal a 90 degree angle. I'm going to go ahead and keep the 6x plus 4 on this side, 4x, and then over here I'm going to do a negative 4 and then negative 6. Add these together on the left, you get 10x. Add these together and you get 80. Alright, great. Let's continue on to the next one. Let's take a look here. Yeah, we'll just do these real quick and then we'll pause and then do the second half of the video. So for these here, these are adjacent angles. These are next to each other. And so here I have B and 102, and they make up a straight angle. So this B with 102, add those together, that should equal 180 degrees because they are a straight angle. They are supplementary. And so I'm going to flip the 102, so it's 180 minus 102, so B equals 72. And then for this last one, we have B and 36, so B plus 36, they make up a straight line, so they are a straight angle. They should add up to 180. So B equals 180 minus the 36, because you subtract 36 from both sides, or rather flip the 36 over, it becomes negative 36. And then we can go ahead and do 180 minus the 36 to get 144. Alright, now go ahead and stop this lesson here. Please go ahead and continue to watch the next section.